Hello to all of our readers and viewers for the Boston Poetry Marathon 2021. I am Christina Liu, and our technical host for the hour is Xtina Strong.
Me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bridget Eileen. Thank you, Bridget Eileen. Our organizers for this year's Boston Poetry Marathon online for 2021 is me, Christina Liu, Xtina Strong, Suzanne Mercury, and Bridget Eileen. Thank you to the organizers. Thank you to our volunteers for the weekend, Gilmore Tammy, Daniel Pritchard, Tom Daly, Joe Elliott, Douglas Rothschild, Brendan Lorber, and Chad Parento as special assistants to Carol Weston. We are currently streaming live to our Facebook page at Boston Poetry Marathon, our Twitter via Periscope at Boss Poetry Mara, and live on our YouTube channel. For links to these broadcasts, go to bostonpoetrymarathon.wordpress.com/watch. This year's Boston Poetry Marathon is a fundraiser for local organizations that work for racial justice in support of Black Lives Matter and Stop Asian Hate movements. Donations will go to Sistify Rhode Island and the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts and the Boston Chinatown Neighborhood Center. Admission to the Boston Poetry Marathon is free, but a $10 or more donation to our fundraiser is recommended and greatly appreciated. Please go to bostonpoetrymarathon.wordpress.com/donate for more information. Go to the pin posts or to the bios in our social media for these links as well. I am now going to introduce the readers of the hour. They'll give a quick hello so we can double check their audio and their connection. Readers, are we ready? Suzanne Mercury.
Hi there, everyone.
Hello. Lisa DeCiro.
Hello.
Hello. Gilmore Tamney.
Poetry.
Excellent. Eileen Cleary.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Robert Carr.
Wonderful to be here.
Likewise, thank you so much. Kevin McClellan.
Hello.
And last but not least, Kai Heller.
Hello. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right, we are about to officially start the reading. So if we could please have all but our first reader now mute themselves. Tech hosts, please switch to the speaker view and let us know that we are all set.
That's all set.
Perfect. Our first reader of the hour is the fabulous Suzanne Mercury.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm just going to jump into my poems. The first poem is called, whoops, let me get that going, Thin Layer of Light, and it's about beekeeping. At night, the queen sleeps in her thin layer of light, wings building upon the older and other layers of light, terracotta now, propolis, radiant in the darkness, thorax gold and heavy, she. As the worker bees tend to the queen cups, the larvae curl at the bottom. It is swarming season, and the larvae form themselves into questions. Shaped as an ear, they hum in their rows of slow history, wax sealed and repeating secrets, cell by cell. What is our equivalence, our consequence? Perhaps now it is only to walk on foot as far as possible. Keep walking until the body can't take anymore. Walk the desecrated earth through open fields there and here, wet with jewel weed silver, gathering pollen on your feet, smeared in the sun. This is called Nosianask for ukulele. There is this fine hair covering our bodies that is mostly invisible. A kind of landscape, a parallel world, borderless microcosm, merely and without color. It is an aspen forest swimming the current of the body's atmosphere, in the music made, in the universe made, in the nuclear furnace of an ancient star that becomes our corpuscles, our cells made. Radiance becomes me, but I still cannot get this B flat to sound right. The chromatic move to the A chord is perfect though. The hair on my arms stands up. Ever is all, avec entonnement, avec conviction, et avec tristesse rigoureuse. I will practice through this lockdown, a chandelier soul, rattles and sounds, and ever is all. What if I die here? What if I'm found shriveled from lack, clutching a ukulele? Maybe it's a way to begin, a memory of a star, a light-filled, cut-out shape, set free, waving in the city of sound. All right. This poem is called Whale Fall. A whale fall occurs when the carcass of a whale has fallen onto the ocean floor, and it's pretty spectacular. It creates a whole ecosystem. Whale fall. Oh, music, hold me in a world that doesn't exist yet. When a whale carcass sinks to the floor of the ocean into its dark recesses, its body is a palimpsest. It forms an ecosystem that will nourish the sea for decades. Love is more than I thought it would be, and life, and even more. Hold me, O music, the ocean is dark, and the fish that live in this blue light filtering through the water have no eyes. They need none. Their skin is transparent, bones shining, soft as chandeliers making their own light. Hold me, O music, hold me. The ocean is starved now, and this dying whale is a feast for its biomass, equal to 1,000 trees. What is the sound of a new idea coming into being? What is this imperfect gold in the rich, light forest of organs, bone, cartilage, tumor? Oh, music, hold me falling, hold me floating, arching backward in a world that doesn't, and yet in being held in this light exists. All right, I have time for this. This last one is quite short, and it's from a very long poem, but this is just an excerpt. And again, it's all about bees. The west wind slips, silver the margin. Lace wings lift, cord grass from blue. Time isn't made of anything. Slum gum, brood nest, honeycomb, queen flight, all of this world, the world that I was. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. That was a gorgeous way to begin our Friday night. Our next reader is Lisa Tessera.
Hi, thank you very much to all the organizers and to my fellow poets and everybody watching. My first poem I'm going to read is from my chapbook that came out at the beginning of this year. And I'm going to read this one. This is a book about dating and relationships from the perspective of single straight woman for the most part. And I thought I'd read this one because I recently rewatched The Queen's Gambit television series and then read the book that it was based on. Match. The ampersands of chance link us all by happenstance. Everyone's in on the joke. Straight as laces, queer as folk, Tinder, J-date, OkCupid, wicked smart and dumbass stupid, shit together and hot mess. Random as a game of chess, forward, sideways, up and down, maneuvering to gain the crown. We plot to capture queens and kings, but we're pathetic pawns. Poor things, we play for keeps, hoping fate might turn a date into checkmate. And I may, if I have time, come back and read another poem from the book, but actually this turned out to be a different sort of week than I thought it would. Today I received a positive COVID test result. At the beginning of the week, I had what I thought was a cold or allergies, and went on Wednesday and got tested. And fortunately, my symptoms have been mild. I am vaccinated, fully vaccinated, but these things happen apparently. So I'm going to read a COVID poem that I wrote at the beginning of the pandemic. And this was actually published online at Ovunque Siamo. It's a villanelle. Virus villanelle. Coronavirus is a foe we can defeat. To do so, you must follow our commands. Don't touch your face, wash, sanitize, repeat. In public, wear a mask. Cross the street if people walk near you. We recommend you always keep a distance of 6 feet. No hugs or even elbow bumps. Only greet neighbors from afar. Do not shake hands. Don't touch each other. 20-second scrub. Repeat after us. We can no longer safely meet or gather. We'll see family and friends on screen instead. It's not an easy feat, we realize, and people have to eat and earn their living still. We understand. Please don't get touchy. Sanitize. Repeat these rules until they become obsolete someday when this pandemic finally ends. COVID-19 is a foe we will defeat. Don't lose your sanity. Wash again. Repeat. I think I'm going to leave it there and let the next person join in. So thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of this. I appreciate it.
Lisa, thank you for your candor and much good health to you. Much good health. There's something about creating form of this terrible chaos. And I think you've embodied the spirit of that. Thank you so much. Our next reader is Gilmore Tamney.
All right. What I talk about when I talk about money. Russian oligarchs on TV. What suits? What eyebrows? Has anyone ever looked so sinister? I live in paradise, a place to live, health insurance, a union job, funds to take care of a cat. Yet I want more. I want more. I smother these wants to death with gratitude, like it's a pillow. I'm watching Nomadland in bed. Midway through, I stop it and check my retirement funds. Who is a white lady from the Midwest suburbs? I am. Who, as it turns out, is deeply bourgeois? I am. My chronic Anglophilia, is it in part because in all those books I read, nobody really seems to have a job. Not just the aristos, the regular Joes. They wander around London or villages, murdering or gossiping or figuring out when conventionality killed their souls, but not working much. My password at my last student loan company, $ total nightmare, $. That shit is going with me to the grave. In my 20s, barely able to function, I could see how it can happen. Having nowhere to go, nowhere to live, it scared me as much as anything has. Side note, mantra suggestion. Luck, luck, luck. I researched a company, this woman who employs Indigenous women to make handbags. Maybe this is a stuff of white savior complex. I don't know. I say, okay, great. But where is the money? Who gets the money? Suicidal Tendencies, the thrash band most likely to appear on hardcore mixtapes of my youth, had a song, I Want More. Don't want to work at the Golden Arches. I want more. Don't want to wash no rich man's cars. I want more. Don't want to be nobody's gardener. I want more. The sounds of class warfare. Is there anything so sweet? Jeff Bezos is in space. Why is this true? Why do I have to know this? Why do I have to know this is true? One of my favorite comedians' jokes, an activist type call for justice, for truth, for fundamental decency, immediately followed by an admission he'd sell out in a heartbeat if paid enough. I love jokes about hypocrisy. I don't want to have to work. I want to travel. I'd like a small house. I'd like to have 3 dogs. I'd like to have machines that make every different kind of ice there is. I want more. Yesterday, leaving the house, I see a teenage girl pause about 30 feet behind me and look down at the sidewalk. In a few moments, she's chasing me. Hey, is this yours? She's holding out folded 20s. Face young, anxious, shy. It actually couldn't be mine. She was behind me. I've just left, but I'm the only person on the street. I eye it. Nice. Maybe $200, $300. No, I say it's not mine. We both look around the empty street. I say something about putting an ad on Craigslist, but dubious she'll get a response. She looks at me as if for guidance, as if the grown-up, I should take the money. I say, shaking my head, that's all yours, kid. It's good to want. It's good to want. And I'm done.
Thank you, Gilmore. I want more. I want more. I want to be the girl with the most cake. We all want. Thank you so much. That was great. Next up is Robert Carr.
Thank you, Christina. And I'm so pleased to be here. I'm reading 2 poems tonight from my full-length collection, The Unbuttoned Eye, which explores my experience with the AIDS pandemic. It's been strange to have a first collection about a pandemic on the heels of the next great pandemic, but there we are. The first poem I'm reading is in dialogue with Robert Mapplethorpe. His portfolios of photographs were the X, Y, and Z portfolios, and those are incorporated here. I want to say, and then I want to read a poem called Cage, which has evoked for me the families with COVID who have been separated from their loved ones as they have become ill and died, which was also the case with many people in the HIV pandemic. The first poem, Letter to Maplethorpe. One of the first people to hear this poem was Eileen Cleary at the Coleraine Manuscript Conference, where we became friends, and this reading is for Eileen. Letter to Maplethorpe. The paper skin prints of my left hand flip through your X portfolio. Polaroid, fuck collective, porcelain models pulled from mine shaft piss. What draws me back? Sorting blue blood photos, the album's black construction paper pages, glued corners, colorless baby portraits, pudgy legs forgotten in silver marker. Robert, are you out there with horns glued to your head? Do you clutch a bouquet of dried carnations, the blossomed assholes of men? Do you miss being in a body? After X, a Y. We, a pair of jacks in the pulpit, stand back to back in Johnny's, die on opposite sides of a privacy screen in a shared red room. You would pitch fits to find the whip has fallen out your ass. The Y portfolio stands alone. A floating gardenia, a bowl of leaning tulips. Stop asking, Robert, why, when the air is still, finely breathable, and the dead eye of the world is counting blessings. I am writing endings. There's an empty chair in the corner where pale blue vinyl has split. Stop asking if you've succeeded. If Z is still untouchable, you're long dead. The perfection of black skin has amplified to unspeakable. Thin men measure dark lengths against the lining of a mouth. Gratitude out of reach. I finger a smear on the frames of your black and hairless portraits. Robert, fucking with me still. Laughing eyes blank. Holding frozen the silver knobbed skull of your stick. An eel white arm leans into your cane. We leer, grip loosening into the composition. And my second poem from the collection, Cage. And particularly I want to acknowledge because my father, who's just been in assisted living for the last year, to not be able to get beyond that glass window. Cage. Did your green eye look for my brown eye as your life, your unchecked watery shit ran out? Did you wonder where I was? Did your thumb slide the mortared groove of a cinder block wall, remembering through thick paint the living line of my jaw? Did your breath break as mine does now, knowing you were wet, alone, caged, not in my arms, not under my whispering hand, counting your ribs, slowing your heart? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert. It's reminiscent of some of the poetry of Raphael Campbell, who, you know, as a physician and poet, wrote so beautifully about AIDS and loss. I really appreciate that reading. Thank you. Next up, we have Eileen Cleary.
Thank you, Christina, and deep bow to Robert and all of you here with my gratitude and love. These poems are for Stephen Gregory Stainer, a boy kidnapped from Merced, California in 1972. Kay and Dell, that first morning without him. What it was like to morning into the valley of forget-me-not, not waking from sleep so much as into a chasm, The hours weathering clefts in their spleens, streams carving them wide, and their boy echoing through the trailhead, muffled, distant, through packed shovels of doubt. For a brief time, any wind could have been him rising from his bunk into rockfall, with no ladder from which to return, the eggs uncracked on the counter, coffee gone cold. Good reasons Stevie's late from school. Leapfrog, walked back for backpack, freeze tag, kick the can, captured flag, haystack, stray beagle, four-winged beetles, sewing needles, swing, empty slingshot, reload, puddle jumps, croaking toad, skipping stones, shoelace loose, bike race, red rover, sidewalk chalk, cops and robbers, found a quarter, kickball, leaf pile, late ball, baseball, giant step, anthill, fire drill, thumb wrestle, red light, waiting for the street light, Foursquare, truth or dare, candy store, 5 minutes more. Good reason Stevie's 7 years late from school. If the boy were never taken, I'd stop seeing the parkway where red ball gas persists long after it closed for business. The service clerk sponging the windshield, dusty as a country road, could finally retire. If I recognized Stevie sluggish in the back seat, I'd see where the sedan's spectacled driver, nearly hairless, hyperglycemic, haphazardly eluding capture, must be fleeing. And I'd pursue him, learning by heart his license plate and face, the hard years of his years, his wintering. I'd rid his Buick's trunk of its church flyers with fake monks, shred the ruse he printed to appeal to the gullible and plain old religious, everyone with a young son. I'd gag his give to the poor, Mrs. Jones and Mr. Bean. He's out of Grimm's with sleeping pills spilled in the console, coursing through Yosemite. If he leaves no tracks on the packed ground of Tioga Pass, who can follow where he crossed into the camp? I can't think because of the cabin I'd be forced to tour. I might have to touch the flaming, not a man per se, more like eyes torching dry leaves in fire season. And I'll close with homecoming. 6 million years past this life, past every child borrowed by any mother, past metamorphic rock that bakes itself into centuries, past hunter-gatherers and pre-literate rains that struck the first unhappy man who squabbled with his soul, past language arriving at any nation at the point of a sword, hope, Pilot's eternity, past this morning and the mountain beyond, past 4 seconds of wind that bends that mountain's shouldered grass, past sorrow melting itself as seamlessly as glass.
Thank you so much. You brought back childhood, but I can't get that phrase into the valley of forget-me-nots. That's just so simple and so wonderful. Thank you. Next up, we have January O'Neill.
Thank you. And thanks to all of you. What a wonderful opportunity to just sit and listen for a few minutes. So, and I know how hard it is to do something like this. It takes a lot of hands to make it look seamless. So nice job, nice job. I'm going to read 3 poems. This first one is about new love, and it's part of a new manuscript. It's from my time being at the University of Mississippi, Oxford a few years ago. Mississippi season. He says I hold my mind well, likes that I put my kids first and have never tried drugs. The lilt in his southern drawl intoxicates me. He likes not being able to have all of me, makes him want me more. Broken finds broken, I say. So when he kisses my neck, along my clavicle, down to my breast, I break all over again. After a drought of no kissing, no touch. How not being chosen can dim any light. For years, I told myself a story I could live with. Thought of myself a kind of carnival fish in a plastic bag, floating in my own still water, wanting to be loved. Dumb luck that someone flips a red ring on the mouth of a glass jar, and just like that, I am kissing again, kissing a man so luminous, so beautifully flawed, I can barely look at him. And my mind, done with all its stories, I can barely look at him. And my mind, done with all of its stories, turns to the carnal as I rim the hinge of his lips with my tongue and dive into this quenching. This second poem is based on a true story. Woman swallowed by a python in a cornfield. Inside every woman is a snake. Some think I'm a hoax or an oddity, rarer than winning Powerball or being struck by lightning. Everything has a form, even doubt. Think of me as someone you've met in a dream. Green stalks shade the sun, keep me hidden from the villagers, the non-believers. To find me, you must enter me. Oh, that your body fits into my body makes us unholy. Let me press my mouth to your scar, run my tongue along your flesh so I can taste how you wound. The wild boars patrolling the edges won't save you. Footprints, flashlight, machete, slippers, all that I've left behind. Inside every snake is a woman. That's the part of me I love the most. Reticulated constrictor, word made flesh, time unfolding, lore or legend. I am done telling the kinder story. I'm a myth of my own making. Part my snake flesh, and you will find me intact, clothed as I was when I visited the corn, the gift you're unsure how to open. And one more. The beyond place. Eat for the hunger that comes, says our guide, as I try my first service berry. Purplish globes with an almond finish. I am a first-time forager, marveling this marvel of a landscape made lush by the rush of the Hoosik's underground waters. The name, he tells us, was translated from Algonquin as the beyond place. Generous June. Every tree surrenders its green flags while we crouch ground low. Spy the wide splays of leaves, their dark papery undersides send messages from below. This plant is edible. This one will kill you. I climbed out of this world, tongue first, to taste another. City girl, chicken of the woods. Yet here, the human wind softens the cicada's strident song as we bend and snip, root back to the point of breaking to discover wild carrot, or is it hemlock? Stick with the berries, I tell myself. A rough twang, a touch of funk, trust the joy I know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, January. I love this as a refrain or a mantra. This is the part of me I love the most. Brilliant. Thank you. Next up, we have Kevin McMillan.
Thank you, organizers, for all your hard work. Greatly appreciated. It is an honor to read with all of you. I'm going to read 4 poems. 2 of them are very short. They're from a manuscript that was written last year. Its title is Father, F-A parentheses R and parentheses T-H-E-R.
Yeah.
Untitled. I could dismiss all the windows' meanings, the lift of curtains and the outside tendrils look in along with hundreds of shoots. The men act out in my inner ear, not unlike a wet flower petal stuck to rock, and I cannot participate in this tapestry of glitches. Look to translate the undercurrent. A river. I am a river. The shaking teeth, the running up the stairs, the stars under the covers. Together, we no longer. I curl my left wrist, press it and knuckles into the center of my chest. My mother said my father curls his the same and asked if I'd noticed. Men shake hands for different reasons. So I recorded a passing train in slow-mo and played it back in hopes of understanding machinery by its sounds, separated into fragments. Trope. That kid. I am that kid now, but happy. No, not really a kid. No, not happy. I couldn't be a kid when a kid. Still haven't learned to fuck love to the end. And the last poem, tips I needed as a gay teen in rural New Hampshire. Stay safe, wear headgear, tap your opponent on the head. Figure out his reaction time and how he reacts to each movement. Have a plan before you fully commit. Keep a low stance when not in contact. Notice how long it takes him to get from one place to another. Keep your elbow at an obtuse angle. Never lead in with a straight arm. Get both hands on one of his arms. This is what you can control. Control his wrists. Get under the armpit first. It can win the position. Apply pressure. Optimize friction. Keep your head up. Find an angle on him. Look for open hips. What can direct his hips are your hips. If he breaks your grip, be faster than his sprawl, or you could find yourself out of bounds. Your choice or his. Cradle, chest to chest, bear hug, leg ride, flat man, guillotine. Become a rock if in the bottom position. No rolling. Don't give up your wrist. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. What a poignant, needed title, and sadly, much needed. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Next up, we have Marcella Durand.
Hi, so good to be here. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to read a poem from my freshly arrived book as of yesterday, To Husband is to Tender, which I could smell the ink. Everybody can hear me okay, right? All right. The bowerbird invites the bowerbird to its bower. A bowerbird's bower may be a bowed space, a somewhat oval demicircle, a lunette, a vessel of wickerwork, a bird-sized basket. The bowerbird may hold berries in its beak to ask the other bowerbird in, or the bowerbird may spend years building a bower tower, a Jenga of branches, a tangle of twigs, pulling some out, studying and rearranging its construction of invention. And then the decoration of little drops of caterpillar poop, plant resin hung at the ends of twigs, so when the bowerbird hops back, the twigs will be complicated and not as bare. The bowerbird adjusts how leaves hang on the twigs, and their own exuberance hangs upon them. When the other bowerbird appears interested in the bower bowerbird has built, the bowerbird begins to sing. The bowerbird's song is not of the bowerbird. It is of pigs, dogs, adult humans, and the voices of children, words almost discrete, so close to distinction, almost individual words. What they were saying is transmitted by the bowerbird to the other bowerbird. The bowerbird's interpretation is introduction to its bower. Then the bowerbird begins to dance. The dance involves transition and mystery, reassurance that if the bowerbird were to disappear, it will reappear at the other side of the bower. Abject-object permanence. It dodges and bows about its bower, and as the other bowerbird watches, it raises its crest, an orange flare of feathers that abruptly changes the shape of its head completely. The mildly colored architect of towers becomes a display of flaming feathers. The orange feathers standing upright are the finale of years of construction and decoration, of patient gathering and placement and decisions of what to put where and how, leading to this display, to wait for another to make the decision. Thank you. So happy this marathon's still going strong.
Thank you so much. I have no idea what a bower tower looks like, but I really want to find out right now. Thank
It's
you.
really amazing. If you can watch Dances with Birds, they
Will do.
show the whole construction. It's mind-blowing.
Absolutely. Thank you. Next up, we have Kai Heller.
Hello, everyone, and thank you. I'm offering something a bit different to this evening. I just published a book of poems called Firebird, and it's also somehow become a couple of films. So I'll play a very short film for you. The film Firebird is a ritual performance, an inhabited poem, a sensory exploration of the limits of language. It is a poem of the sonic, the gestural, and the mythic space of the female body. It's also a film of multiple ecologies, thinking very much about the Burning Girl Phoenix character as she dances within the traumatized by fire redwood tree. At once a single body, the absence of a body, and the presence of trauma in many actual bodies in the moment of transformation. The film is based on this new collection of poetry by me called Firebird, which was published at the end of 2020 as these wildfires were raging. I wrote, directed, and produced it, and the dancer is Anya Yermakova. It was edited by Maritzo Siller. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kai.
Actually, if you could open it, yeah, perfect.
Okay, thank you.
gives light must suffer burning. Escape what ravishes, castigates. I think I think we missed a bit of text at the beginning, but I'm glad you were able to see it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was haunting. I actually got lost in a lot of the bird song within that silence. It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Last but not least, we have Susanna Gardner.
Okay, I'm trying to start. Hi. It's really been awesome hearing everyone. This is pretty fabulous. I haven't been writing as much, but when I have been, it's been doing, I've been teaching more classes regarding textual found poetics and textual intimacy. So basically reworking dead poets and living poets. And I'm gonna read, I don't think I've read this before here, but if I did, I'm gonna read it again. I blurbed a book for Andrew Peterson and I made a poem out of it or through it because I just found it so inspiring and cool, and like I really liked his language. Okay, so the title is Desire Line, and it's from A Good Game. So it's a good game cento. My desire line lives in a pink punk moon, punk swoon. Sorry, I'm rewriting it as I go. Trips within parapets of loss, moves to love in a punk heathered heart. By feather we flow as I hold on to your green, hold and lean against the hood on the shunt of your coast, curl into my yurt as any honey combed into it would. My tea flooded tides ride in a pink punk swoon. Love adjusts its difficulties, readjusts power as it must, make a mirror wane and fall back into love of one more thing, while in a vulnerable clarity let me comb out and be lost among your hills of rhombic might, push up a pyramid kiss against a morning clawed night, against a gnashing gobbled gash in a pink punk swoon, unplug me but from rainbow Watson nettles, back my balance on sea snails to lay their eggs in moonlight, against the upper class, unsheath this trusty conch and uncork its wild pitches, signal a flask of mermaid swill, and swim ruggedly ashore, blossom in anew, release angst is a cave, dank and plain, smug blue unions, an elephant labyrinth, moss form, labor's musk, that can will or wash itself ashore. The heart, as usual, grinds me in a pink, pink punk swoon. Groovy was on the up and up, but the feels were off. We take to the streets in these times of trouble. We tune these streets with two pink sails to go. Any which way is unfortunately bluely ambiguous. Blank stars falter on crush impulse, turn away from the sea and love these words into smoke. A held out naming, a blissed out missing, a loveless missed stitching. I wish I didn't miss it. Street lance, fat moon framed grin leaves. No cake to walk back after in a pink, pink punk swoon. Whether or not, please ocean my undulant tide hand forward as sirens make a whole hold from the sun. Any note or letter smuggled by stream will do. I'm so done with nothing turning away from the sea, pink and green and dewy, on how to dance down an avalanche of peace lily, of laurel oxlips, sassafras, muddied trees and moon primey violets, witch hazel, swells of diamond surfers, dazzled riders, still riding the raiders, still raiding, bouncing on oceans burnt from cold new moons. The birch shell fells cloud sheets in a pink, pink punk swoon, welled and swelled upon the rain-blown sea, reverb in a robin's egg, bustled pink flowers of a burnt gown grown, wide with bark-bellied tears, radiant gaucho dusk, who put the bomb in the bomb shabam, still tested over the sea and sky, our living museum run on fumes, bird-ghosted trash ocean heaps, body and bone map these yeses are crying, reading Eileen without confidence in a pink, pink punk swoon, unmakes us, unfurls our lilts and sways, makes the deer and arrow light flicker into foam cups, an aching inward twitch on the flag steps, restless to the tune of our disillusionment. Our time leads with stars in a pink, pink punk swoon. Awake, 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 avant star cold feed, avant star feed betwixt snow and indiscreet, blithe river gowns gutched and gathered in rests of office light, burnt cedar sandalwood, our childhood spake in riot, 1,000 paper cranes flail your arms, are the dreams I might heal in. We wake to the streets in moontide in a pink, pink punk swoon, in a pink, pink punk swoon, and then rest of quote unfound. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, that was so all encompassing. I was imagining oceans and garbage islands and a pink moon. It's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, they were all words taken from Andrew's book, but it was like, they were like maybe one or two words together, but it was like throughout the entire book. And I was like, okay.
I see that. And you reworked it into something completely different.
I think I revised it and just made it my own, but it's still totally his. There we go. Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you. You are the last reader of the hour. This has been really wonderful. I can't tell you how enervating this is for me, but I'm sure for our audience listening out there. So thank you very much. Tech hosts, we are ready to go back into our grid view, please. Thank you to all the readers of the hour. Lisa DeSiro, Eileen Cleary, Kai Heller, Marcella Durand, Gilmore Tammy, Susanna Gardner, Kevin McFallon, January O'Neill. Please let me know if there's anyone I am missing. Okay. Do the readers have any questions right now?